The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (Nnpc) has released details of how it distributed a total of 387.59 million litres of premium motor spirit to Nigerians in its response to handling the supply gap caused by the importation of methanol-blended petrol into the country by 4 oil marketers. The product was evacuated from the depot and distributed to Nigerians through retail filling stations within a 1-week period covering February 14 to 20. The release of the 387.59 million litres by the Nnpc to Nigerians represents an average daily distribution of 55.4 million litres. The figures were released by the Nnpc on Wednesday through its verified Twitter account. A breakdown of the Nnpc weekly national evacuation report showed that 80% of all the evacuation took place at the top 20 high-loading depot. It stated that the remaining 20% of the evacuation took place at the other loading depot. The top 20 high-loading depots that were used to evacuate the PMS are Pinnacle, Lekki, which evacuated the highest volume of 70.80 million litres, Nnpc, 22.6 million litres, ITO, 22.3 million litres, Swift, 16 million litres, 11 PLC, 15.9 million litres, Bovas Bulk, 15 million litres, and Frado, 14.6 million litres. There is also Kionamex, which evacuated PMS of 13.7 million litres, MRS Limited, 11.9 million litres, Ren Oil, 11.6 million litres, AYM Shafa, 11.2 million litres, TSL, 11.2 million litres, Ren Oil Lagos State, 11.2 million litres, and Matrix, 10 million litres. The rest are Corn Oil Lagos, which distributed 9.7 million litres of petrol, AA Rano, 8.8 million litres, Bluefin, 8.4 million litres, HOGL, 8.2 million litres, Ibafon Calabar, 8 million litres, and Mainland, 7.5 million litres. The 1-week period of February 14 to 20 this year was the most challenging time for motorists because of the supply gap that the country experienced as a result of the importation of the methanol-blended petrol into the country. The supply of the 387.59 million litres by the Nnpc to Nigerians was responsible for the disappearance of fuel queues last weekend in Lagos, Abuja, and other parts of the Federation. Filling stations that had been shut down over a week due to supply gap eventually opened for operations last Sunday, according to report. Retail outlets in the satellite towns of Abuja such as Bari, Lube, Kubwa, Zuba, Kuje, and others that had experienced product shortage were seen dispensing petrol to motorists last Sunday. The methanol blended product, according to Nnpc, was imported into the country by 4 oil marketers through 4 premium motor spirit cargoes under the Nnpc's direct sales direct purchase arrangement. The 4 companies that supply the methanol blended petrol are MRS, which made the importation through a vessel named MT Bao Pioneer, Emadeb/HYDA/AY Maikife, Britannia U Consortium through vessel identified as MT Tom Hilde, Owando through a vessel named MT Elka Apollyon, and Duke Oil. The product was purchased from international trader Litres and delivered through the Litres loading port terminal in Antwerp in Belgium. Reports say that immediately the discovery was made, the Nnpc quickly stopped the oil marketers from distributing the petrol. The Nnpc intervened by ensuring that the methanol-blended petrol did not get to the filling stations. In achieving this, the Nnpc made sure that all the cargoes that were suspected to have methanol were quickly quarantined. Similarly, those cargoes that have been discharged were also quarantined, while all the trucks that have left the depots were tracked and intercepted. The Nnpc also restocked the depots with cleaner fuels. In addition, the Nnpc also intensified effort at increasing the supply of petrol into the market in order to bridge any unforeseen supply gap. As part of its strategy to restock, the Nnpc has stated that over 2.3 billion litres of PMS had been scheduled for delivery before the end of February 2022. This, the Nnpc stated, will restore sufficiency level above the national target of 30 days. The Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu, has said it will not call off the strike except the federal government meets their demands. Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, The national president of Asuu disclosed this in an interview with journalists on Wednesday. The union had declared a 30-day warning strike over the federal government's failure to honor the agreement signed by both parties, a move the government had faulted. According to Osodeke, we can call off the strike tomorrow if the FG implements and meets all our demands. It is in their hands to meet all the demands and not ours. If they want it called off this week, next week it is possible if they should do what they are supposed to do and not all these empty promises that we are not sure they will implement, the group said. But if you call off the strike, as usual, they will abandon everything. We have no problem and we are busy people. He might have all the time. Our own is for them to implement, the group said. In his reaction, Chris Ngige, Minister of Labour and Employment, cautioned the union not to intimidate the committee and Ministry of Education, saying if they did, their document would not fly. According to him, we had a committee we impaneled in the Ministry of Education to take matters up because they are the direct employees of the lecturers. The committee was headed by Professor Manzani, and there was a draft proposal which the Education Ministry has to agree on with them and then break it up to the higher bodies of the government, the Presidential Committee on Salaries, and from there it goes to FEC for approval. Asuu should not intimidate the Education Ministry or the committee to come up with things that are not in tandem with the normal rate. If they do that, the document will not fly. The Ministry of Education will resuscitate that committee within 2 weeks to look at the draft proposal it had with Asuu so that they can come up with something for the PSC to have a look at and send to FEC, Ngige said.